I quite like this pose. I thought it looked quite good in that pose last time. If I can pass out afterwards. Cat. Okay. Okay, so let's talk now about the importance of having a test week. So when I program for my clients, I always put a testing phase in at the beginning and at the end of our cycle together. So let's say someone signs up for a 12-week block, that'll be a mesocycle. So then throughout that 12-week cycle of training, I might put 2 testing phases in. So we'll test at the beginning, then we'll test at week 6, and then we'll test at week 12. So we can find a starting point, we'll find a midway point of how we're getting on, and then at the end we'll do another test week. And the advantage of using test weeks is it allows me to program more effectively, it'll give me set targets to work towards, it'll show clear progression and that the client's actually on track, and it also gives the clients a sense of achievement. Another reason why I'd use test weeks and testing phases is, well, probably a better word to use instead of testing is performance measured goal setting. And if you start using words like performance measured goal setting and putting clients through testing phases, that will allow you to track the more advanced members in the gym. And I always hear PTs say they struggle to talk to some of the members in the gym because they're too advanced for them. And all I say to that is that you need to change the conversation you're having with them. And if you turn the conversation onto programming, if you turn the conversation onto performance measured goal tracking, you're going to start gaining their attention. And that's the type of training those type of members are looking for. They're looking for everything to be tracked and measured and a clear progression and a clear line of progression. That's what they're searching for within their training. Okay, so what can be tested? Let's talk about getting stronger first. If a client wants to get stronger, that's not really a measurable goal. Let's start narrowing that down. Let's do strength testing. So 1, 3 or 5 rep max testing on compound moves. So squatting patterns like front squat, back squat, bench press, strict press, deadlift, trap bar deadlift, barbell hip thrust. They're all kind of compound moves you can test on. So with 1, 3 and 5 rep maxes, I would say 5 rep maxes are great for beginners or people that don't go near the top end of their strength range. So if someone's never really done any sort of lifting before or strength work before, you don't want to chuck them into a 1 or 3 rep max. 5 rep maxes is quite a safe place for them to go, so where you just build to a heavy 5 and just go from there. So if someone has experience bench pressing, for example, you can find a starting point saying, okay, well in this session let's build to a heavy 5 and just see where we are. 1 rep max testing I would stay away from. 1 rep max testing is both a psychological challenge as well as a physical challenge, and you need to have experience lifting to do a 1 rep max. 1 rep max requires you to have perfect form under extreme loads. So as much as we know what we're doing with our bodies when we're lifting, when a client goes to lift, you don't know what they're going to do when it comes to their max effort load. So 1 rep max lifting is a skill, and it takes a long time for you to develop that skill. So I would stay away from 1 rep max testing unless it's for somebody with a huge training age. 3 rep max testing is where the money's at. 3 rep max for me is like the perfect balance of finding like a true value for their heavy lift. So with 3 rep max, you know they can do at least 1. So let's pretend we're doing a 3 rep max on back squat. You build to this 3 rep max weight appropriately. If they go and attempt the first rep, they'll do the first rep, and then after the first rep, they're either going to go, that's too heavy and rack it, they're going to attempt the second. If they can do the second, they'll know if they can do the third. If they don't think they can, they'll just re-rack the weight. So there's no risk of them failing. And even if there's time to fail, you don't want your clients just failing on the first rep. So with 3 rep max testing, they can do the first rep, they can go for the second rep. If they think they've got the third in them, then you can spot them for the third. If not, they'll just re-rack, and then you'll go, okay, that's your 2 rep max. We'll go back to the previous weight, which will be our 3 rep max. So 1, 3 and 5 rep max. 5 for beginners. Stay away from 1 rep max. 3 is where the money's at. The next way to test strength is by bodyweight test, and by bodyweight test I mean chin-ups, pull-ups, dips, push-ups, plank holds, exercises like that. Now with bodyweight tests I like to do max effort, so how many reps can you do, how many pull-ups can you do in one go, how many chin-ups can you do in one go. Can you do 1RM, 3RM and 5 rep maxes on bodyweight movements? You can, but I think the risk to reward in terms of the risk of getting injured to what you're actually going to find out is not really worth it. So for example, with dips, could you put a belt on, start loading 20 plates and go for 1 rep max dip? The strain it'll put on your shoulders and the stress it'll put your body under, is it worth that risk? And what are you actually going to find out? If someone can do 15 dips, then they've completed dips. You know, you don't need a test anymore, and that you're better off more focusing on their bench press. And that's the same with pull-ups and chin-ups. If someone starts doing 12 reps, 12 pull-ups, 12 chin-ups, then they're a pretty good athlete already. What you're going to find mostly is people get to 5 reps and you go, okay, let's set a goal to get to 6 reps or get to 7 reps. That's a more better way to approach bodyweight movements than trying to load up these kind of movement patterns. The next sort of testing you can do is cardio tests, and I like to test cardio for distance, so rowing, running, cycling, skiing, assault bike, and within each of these disciplines there's certain testing we always do. So for rowing, 500 meters, 1k, 2k, 5k. For running, if you take out the sprint and hurdle stuff, you're looking at the 1 mile test, 3k, 5k, 10k, half marathon. And then like for bike, you're looking at an FTP test. For ski erg, you're looking at say like 250, 500 meters, 1k, 2k. And then finally for assault bike, you can do 25 calories, 50 calories, 100 calories for time. They're great ways to measure somebody's fitness. If someone wants to get fitter and they like that style of cardio, that's when you can do a testing element and then find out where they are. Another measurement you could do is body composition, and this is like tape measurements, skin folds and progress photos. I'm a big fan of telling people to do progress photos. You should always advise your client to try to get them just to keep for themselves to refer back to, because when you see your body every day you don't see the changes you make, and it's great for your client to be able to refer back to them and see where they started and where they are now. Another way of measuring is tape measurements, and that's just as if you're making a suit. You're doing like your biceps, your shoulders, your waist, your hips, your legs, and then that's just another way to see where gains have been made. And then finally, skin folds. Now skin folds are quite difficult to do. If you're someone that wants to do skin folds, then you know, first of all you need a setup or consultation room to do it in your gym, but also you need to find an appropriate skin fold to do. There is like up to 12 points. I personally like the Durin method because that means there's only 4 points off your bicep, tricep, subscap and superiliac. As soon as you start getting the leg measurements involved, you have to start telling people to lift their shorts up, pull their tights down, and that's when it gets a bit personal. So I'm a big fan of the Durin method if you want to do skin folds. And yeah, there's like 3 ways you can measure body composition.